There is an experience many people go through, but it's not really talked about, and it's what I want to go through today. Okay, so there are times when a person can feel distressed by their surrounding. Okay, it can feel like everyone around you doubts you can be a certain kind of person. Okay, when the environment you are in believe they have confined you to a certain box, and they believe you cannot be something outside the box they imagine you to fit in. You understand? They do not believe in you. Okay? And it's important for each and everyone to have at least an individual who believes in you, who believes in what you can be. You understand? Who believes in you genuinely. You understand? So, but there's an experience where people find themselves sometimes when they are surrounded by people who don't believe they can be a certain thing. You understand? Who do not believe that that person, that individual can make it or can make it or be something outside the box they have imagined him to fit in. You understand? And it is a very distressing experience. It's a very disturbing experience. And it is not a foreign trial. It is a trial that has been seen throughout the Bible with numerous people. Take, for example, Joseph. Joseph from the Old Testament. Okay? He has his dreams. He has his dreams, and God is showing him a lot of things, okay, about the future and all these things. But the people around him, his very family, his closest people, could not, could not, could not bear it. Okay, they could not imagine Joseph breaking the box within they imagined him to fit, and it's so disturbing. He tries to show them this thing, tries to tell them, but it is as though they don't support the idea he has. They don't support. They don't believe in what he can be. You understand? So he is distressed. Okay, that's one example of a person who has been distressed. You understand, by such an experience. You can look at it like we always hear about wolf in sheep's clothing. Okay, wolves among sheep. But this is an experience where a sheep finds itself among wolves. Okay, like you believe God, but the surrounding around you is not believing God like you do. Understand what God is doing in you or what God is doing for other people. It can even be a preconceived mindset, like among society in society. Understand? Look at Jesus. Jesus, when Jesus is here, I think it's Nathaniel, says, "Can anything good come from Nazareth?" So there was a preconceived mindset during that time that nothing good can ever come from Nazareth, you know, and Jesus was coming from Nazareth. You understand, Jesus of Nazareth. So such things, okay, such things, and I want to briefly show you how God rescues people out of such experiences. Okay, and another person we maybe I want to focus on this video is Lot. I know it can seem like Lot is Lot doesn't have this trial, because usually in that story people focus on Abraham, but I want to focus on Lot. Okay, when Lot is in Sodom and Gomorrah, and then the angels are coming and destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. But I want to focus on God's heart toward Lot. Remember, when Abraham is going back and forth with God, asking if there's a man, if there are 10 people, will you destroy the city? And God is like, won't destroy the city. If he's interceding for Lot, if there are 5 people, would you destroy? You won't destroy. You understand? If there is a man, you won't destroy. So you see God's heart toward the one righteous man. You understand? So, and we get deeper details on this in the letter written by Peter, okay, in Second Peter. He, as his teaching, he he hints on this, and it's what we are going to read. It's what we are going to try to look at today, okay. Second Peter chapter 2 verse 7 to 9. I'm going to read from the Amplified Version, okay. And if he rescued righteous law, if he rescued, this is God, if God rescued righteous Lot, who was tormented by the immoral conduct of unprincipled and ungodly men, okay, he was tormented. Other versions say he was distressed. Okay, for that for that just man while living among them. So we see you say just man living among unjust men. Okay, felt his righteous soul tormented day after day. He was disturbed. It is a disturbing experience. Much as it is a trial that is consistent. It is no we it is consistent. It is the same thing, but I could say in a different form. Okay, so you still see Lot, who was among people who were not believing in God. Okay, for of course there are examples of Joseph. People were not believing that you can be something, but here people are not believing God the same way as Lot is believing God. You understand? So people are not believing God the same way. You understand? He's a righteous man, but he's among people who are unrighteous. Okay, so he felt his righteous soul tormented day after day by what he saw and heard of their lawless acts. Then, in light of the fact that all this is true, be sure that the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trial and knows how to keep the unrighteous under punishment until the day of judgment. So, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you are surrounded by evil and just men, and in this current age and time, it is quite hard not to find yourself in such a place where the standard you are holding, the people around you do not hold that standard. The level at which you are believing God, the people around you do not believe God that's a certain way like you do. You understand? So it is easy to find yourself in such a place. So, but the Bible is assuring us that the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trial. You understand? He knows how to get you out of that place. God knew how to go and rescue Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah, because in fact, the reason why God picks Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah is not only due to the fact that the Sodom and Gomorrah is going to face the wrath of God, but it is also the fact that he was trying to rescue Lot from there, because Lot was distressed by his surrounding. You understand? So some of the ways God deals with this. Okay, God helps us with these trials. Some of the ways I'm going to give you two. Number one, God disconnects that individual from the surrounding. Like I've just been saying right now. Look at Lot's story. God takes Lot out of Sodom and Gomorrah. You understand? You find yourself sometimes, if you have like friends that all your friends, the people around you, do not believe don't believe God can do something in you, do not believe in you in a certain way, you'll find yourself that God will disconnect you from these friends, sometimes what you call friends, okay, and give you better circles. Okay, God will disconnect you from that surrounding, because many times such surroundings can dim your dreams. Okay, can dim vision. Yeah, such surroundings can dim vision, and sometimes God changes your circles. You understand? So it gets you out of that place so that He can rescue you from such a trial or distress. Okay, but it's not the only way God handles. God helps us in such times. Okay, there there is another way which I'm going to share. Like, God can use that very circumstance, okay, to miss at the very people carrying unbelief. You understand? If you look at the story of Joseph, God used that very circumstance. Much as these brothers did not really believe what God was doing in Joseph, they they stay with their rich father. You understand? Jacob was a rich man. They stay with their rich father. Then, when Joseph is sold as a slave and goes through all these things, he, at a point of time during a famine, is going to strike, and then he becomes prime minister. You understand? He becomes the second most important person in that time, in Egypt. You understand? So, but when the famine strikes, his brothers, who have been living with their rich father, come to him, and God uses that to save his brothers from dying. Because if they did not get food, they would have starved to death. But he was able to use that, and then In fact, you see that that's when Israel comes into Egypt and then is preserved. You know, Israel was preserved. You understand? But in that, in fact, if you read the Bible, Joseph says it was for their sake. You understand that everything that happened to Joseph was for the sake of what? Of his brothers, and of his brothers who initially did not believe in what God was doing in him. You understand? So even if you can find yourself in a place where people do not believe, where you are surrounded by all this unbelief, but sometimes God wants you to hold on so that so that He ministers to them, so that they learn, so that by your example they are able to build their faith as well. Understand? So it can be two way. It can be God can disconnect you, or God can leave you there deliberately, so that your faith, through your faith, through looking at you, they may as well gain faith. You understand? So those are one of the two ways. Those are also some of the ways God can rescue the godly from trials. But of course, surely you have to have the confidence that God will rescue you out of such distress. I know it can be distressing, but trust God. That's what I wanted to talk about. And if you want to give your life to Christ, you have any question, feel free to reach out. In the description, I put my contacts in the descriptions, and the you can leave a comment. And yes, let me pass on a brief announcement. uh of course, we are based in Hungary here, so we have been having we we have fellowships on the weekends. Okay, so but the audios, for now we are only able to record the audios from the fellowship sermons, okay, which we are putting up every Wednesday, though it happens on Saturday, but we put them up on the YouTube page every Wednesday. So yeah, so this Wednesday we have organized the playlist and that will be up. Yeah, that is what I wanted to say for now. See you again next time. Have a nice week. You are blessed. Thank you guys for listening.